Politico has a fascinating new article out. It's called "The Rich Strike Back." Damn. And apparently they do. They talk about how Bill de Blasio and Elizabeth Warren were getting a lot of hype and press, and they're obviously populists and progressives on the left side. And Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, of course, became popular on the right-wing side, and they're more populist, more anti-establishment. I think ultimately they're massively in favor of the rich and will do what they want, but at least they appear to be populist. And so there was this talk of like, oh my God, you know, maybe the American people are waking up to the massive inequality that we all live under, and that politicians might respond and do something about it. Well, Politico is here to reassure us with quotes from the right side, the left side, and business interests and lobbyists to say, no, they'll do no such thing. They don't give a damn about you. No, we're back to business as usual. First of all, they point out how President Obama put in his budget a little provision in there to raise taxes on Wall Street. But they explain that no one in Washington actually believes it's going to pass, including the president. In fact, a couple of days after that provision was put into the budget, he went to the home of one of the wealthiest private equity executives in New York and did massive fundraising. And that, in fact, he's now tapping the Patrikoffs as well. They're a very connected Wall Street family. They used to support the Clintons. They've finally come on board for Obama, and they're raising money for him and other Democrats as well. So no interest in actually being populist. And Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York actually killed the proposal to tax the rich a little bit more in New York City, which Bill de Blasio, the new mayor, was proposing. So in reality, of course, as always, we have no actual change. Okay. So now first, let's start with the Republicans as to what's happening there. A Wall Street Republican explains that they've got the situation in hand. He says, take the fact that the Tea Party is kind of on its heels in Congress, and that a registered lobbyist won in Florida, that's Dave Jolly, who just won that seat, and that a lot of the parties are revolting against this proposed bank tax, and that's one that Dave Camp, a Republican, actually introduced, and you'd have to conclude that the establishment is not exactly dead. So that Wall Street Republican basically saying Dave Camp's proposal to increase taxes on Wall Street killed it. Dead in the water, and Politico confirms, according to inside sources, and by the way, 50 Republicans in the House that signed a letter saying, under no circumstances would we ever raise taxes on Wall Street. We are so sorry. In fact, they attached to the letter this statement.
I regret it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was just my mistake and my bad. I'm sorry.
And they've got their lobbyists now back in, Mr. Jolly down in Florida, et cetera. He's like, don't worry, the Tea Party is defeated. The populists are defeated. The establishment is back in charge. Mitch McConnell is saying that he's going to run the Tea Party out of town. And in fact, he's got millions of dollars from the Chamber of Commerce heading to that point right now. So now we turn to the Democrats. Here's an interesting quote. Reducing inequality is good, this person said, but it's 50 times better to do it by lifting those up who are low than by tearing down those who are high. The politics of envy are the wrong politics in America. The better politics are the politics of inclusion, where everyone shares in economic growth, okay? Now, you'd think that a Republican would say something like that, but no, of course, as you saw there, Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton, and of course, top economic advisor to President Obama in the past, and the guy that President Obama considered to be the head of the Fed until his candidacy was defeated, basically, before it got up off the ground. That's a so-called Democrat saying, oh, no. If you point out that the private equity guys are actually paying less in taxes, less than the average American, that's the politics of envy. You're just envious of how well we fixed the system on our behalf. Look, if you paid more in taxes and you paid your fair share, then people wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. It's not like they don't like the fact that you're rich. Everybody wants to be rich in America. That's still true, right? No, they don't like the fact that you're rich and you pay less than your fair share. You pay less than the average guy. The politics of envy. In fact, the other guy who mentioned that is Ken Langone. And in this same article, the co-founder of Home Depot, who's now a billionaire investor, said, because if you go back to 1933 with different words, this is what Hitler was saying in Germany. You don't survive as a society if you encourage and thrive on envy or jealousy. Almost identical words to Larry Summers on the issue of envy. Of course, not on the issue of Hitler. Now, those are very similar words to Tom Perkins, another billionaire investor who had recently said, oh my God, what the progressives are saying about the rich It's what Hitler did, except the part about killing 13 million people, putting them in concentration camps, and all that stuff. Except for all of that, he hurt our feelings a little bit. I don't think that that's what the Nazis were famous for, hurting your feelings a little bit. Now, Ken Langone, knowing how outrageous that was, later kind of apologized by saying, if I hurt your feelings, that was kind of your problem. So they are totally unrepentant. And it's one thing when billionaire investors do it, it's another thing when so-called Democrats parrot them. Speaking of Democrats, we go to Representative Jim Himes, who says all too often, now this guy's a Democrat theoretically, all too often people forget that this is just one politician from Massachusetts, referring to Elizabeth Warren, and one politician from New York City. And what they say is not going to dominate politics in Arkansas or Florida or Texas or anywhere else. Income distribution may be far from ideal, but people don't necessarily only want to hear about increased taxes on the wealthy. No. I know Jim Himes doesn't want to hear that. Jim Himes is a great protector of the wealthy. In fact, he's among them. He was vice president for Goldman Sachs. He now gets tremendous funding from, you guessed it, the finance industry. Totally bought, paid for by finance. And shockingly enough, it turns out he's a congressman representing finance, and says we shouldn't raise taxes on the wealthy. So you got Larry Summers, who everybody knew was a conservative Democrat. You got Jim Himes, this congressman from Goldman Sachs. But how about Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York? I mean, this guy's supposed to be a progressive, thinking of even running for president. I love this part of the Politico article. Langone, for his part, is now head of a group called Republicans for Cuomo. The growing consensus in New York is that while de Blasio ran a great campaign, Cuomo is now schooling him politically. In other words, money still rules, and Cuomo is our little bitch. So he'll do exactly as we tell him, and he did. He killed the tax proposal of de Blasio. The taxes on the rich will not go up in New York. Says, sorry, I'm the governor, you're only the mayor, and I will not allow you to do that. And now, billionaire investors are financing Andrew Cuomo. What a wonderful coincidence. Republicans for Cuomo. Apparently, that's schooling him in politics. Because if you can suck up to the rich better, well, Politico and the rest of the mainstream now think you're a better politician. Are you better at serving your people? Who cares? They forgot about that a long time ago. When asked about this raising taxes that de Blasio had talked about, a Democratic donor said, smart people knew that a lot of what he said was never going to happen. Smart people meaning the people who bought off the politicians and knew that the politicians were in the back pocket of the rich and were never going to do any of this stuff. Okay, so when you go to talk to business leaders, when you ask them, hey, listen, it looks like nothing's getting done on either side. You know what they say? Great. That means we're winning. Okay? Here's a senior Republican business leader. That's what we need to work toward. We need to work toward gridlock. Because when the proposals are to actually do something about income inequality, are to raise taxes on Wall Street so that they are at least paying as much as the average American, well, we don't want that. They want gridlock instead. So if you're wondering why we have unbelievable gridlock in this country and can't get anything done, it's because that's exactly what business leaders want. Okay. Now, finally, we go to President Obama. Now, he's the guy who's going to bring in change, right? And he's the guy who's proposing extra taxes on Wall Street and, well, talked about raising taxes on the rich. Well, at least he's going to get serious with them, right? And you see where this is going. A Wall Street Democrat, I love that title, told Politico, the energy in the party may be with progressives, but Obama's still the same cool, pragmatic guy he's always been. In other words, don't worry, man. He's cool. He's cool. He's with us. He's a pragmatic guy. There ain't going to be no change. Finally, if that wasn't clear enough, he added one more thing. He's got liberal values, but he'd always like to cut a deal. Indeed. I couldn't have said it better myself. So in the end, the current state of affairs are the rich continue to win.